Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And of course, thanks for subscribing. We truly appreciate it. Tesla's done it. They finally announced that they're going to be opening up the US-based supercharging network to non-Tesla EVs. This is according to the White House, and this is a big story. President Biden actually tweeted out stating just as much, and he said they were going to open up a big part of the Tesla supercharging network for non-Tesla EVs. One, that's a first for Joe Biden to be able to acknowledge that Tesla exists, and they've been not acknowledging Tesla for quite a while, like it's not a US-based EV manufacturer, which is kind of crazy. So that was good. That was the first big step. And then for them to also announce that non-EVs are going to be able to use the Tesla supercharging network or a portion of the Tesla supercharging network. Now, for those that don't know, this is in response to the government releasing billions of dollars of funds, I think $7 billion worth of funds for charging infrastructure, and Tesla wanting to be a part of that. And so as part of Tesla being able to receive those funds, they have to make their charging network available for other non-Tesla cars to be able to use. They've already done a sort of a pilot program in the EU where they have Tesla supercharging networks open and available to other chargers. But in order to do that, they had to adapt the CCS standard, which is a combination charging system for high output charging versus low output charging. It's a special type of connector that's available and widely used in the EU, in Europe, but it's not so widely used here in the US, but it is, a standard of charging that a lot of car manufacturers are using. And obviously, if you use the Tesla supercharger, it doesn't have that standard. So what they've been doing in Europe is basically adapting sort of a connector for their superchargers that allows the car manufacturers there to use the CCS with the Tesla supercharger. So the same way that Tesla has an adapter that can fit just about any other charging infrastructure, they're going to create an adapter for CCS specifically for that. That's part of the reason why they redesigned the charge port on the Model 3 specifically, and then Model Y, and then they've also revamped that for Model S and X because that's the standard that's used abroad, internationally in Europe. And that's where they have to make space to be able to put that port on European spec cars. So that's the charge flap. That flap that comes up is bigger because it allows for European-based spec cars to use that standard. And that's why the charge port on a European-based Tesla looks a little bit different than the ones here in the US, okay? So that's sort of the background behind it. Tesla's trying to get those supercharging credits. They're trying to get the funds, that $7 billion to help expand their supercharging network while also expanding it to everyone else. So that all sounds good and sounds positive, and that sounds like a great thing. But the concern amongst Tesla owners is the congestion. Lots of places, specifically on the West Coast or any place that has a low volume of superchargers, but a high volume of Teslas, tends to see a long line of supercharging. A lot of, not all, but a lot of owners usually don't have places to charge while at home. So they're going to really leverage the supercharger network on a daily basis or on a weekly basis to be able to charge their car. In addition to the travel traffic, right? People traveling in and out across those places where those chargers are creates a little bit of a debacle, especially in places like California, right? So there's the problem, the concern about, hey, who gets priority? How are they going to do it? So on and so forth. And that's a concern for a lot of Tesla owners. Now, obviously, it's going to be easy for Tesla because they're going to be able to use the funds from the government, and they're also going to be able to generate money and revenue by having non-EVs pay a premium to use their supercharger network, which is great. And they can do that right through the Tesla app. So they just download the Tesla app. They have a section in the Tesla app that says charging your non-Tesla, and that's where those customers will go. And then from there, they'll be able to go ahead and start charging at a supercharger, and they'll be able to pay, so on and so forth, and get that supercharging-like experience. Maybe not as seamless, but it could be. Who knows? Okay, so it seems all good. It seems all fine. Obviously, there's some issues. So my take on it is this. A lot of people are saying, hey, you know what? It's okay, and this is going to help, Tesla's mission of sustainable transport, right, and converting the world over. I tend to disagree. I think this is going to cause big problems. It's going to cause a lot of charging infrastructure issues in terms of waiting and congestion, right? Waiting to get to a supercharger, especially in those high volume areas. Even if you expand and put additional superchargers, the more superchargers you put out, the more cars you're still going to sell, and the more EVs that now other manufacturers are going to start to sell, because now they're no longer, burdened by the fact that there is no reliable charging network. And it also takes the onus off of other manufacturers and other companies from creating their own charging infrastructure. Now they can just lean on the Tesla charging network, which doesn't help them in their mission. It doesn't help them. It doesn't force change. When Tesla started making EVs and coming out the gate doing their thing, it actually forced other car manufacturers to do the same. They had no other choice. You would either continue to sell gas cars and lose sales to Tesla, or they would have to create a compelling EV offering that can compete with a Tesla and do the research and do the work. The caveat there is that, hey, if they make a car that's too good, there's no sense in selling the gas cars, the gas-powered counterpart, right? Again, obviously excluding niche products like sports cars and things like that, but sort of a day-to-day driving car is what we're talking about here. So in that regard, Tesla forced their change. They forced their hand to do something, and they acted. And now the whole world is lighting up with EVs, coming out with a new EV. Every car manufacturer is coming out with a new EV, trying to compete and be in that space, right? The problem is the charging network. And they still haven't done anything to make a compelling, reliable charging network that can compete with the supercharging network. And so if they can now just rely on that, now you're just saying, hey, you can just sell more EVs that you like and leverage the supercharging network. So now effectively you're taking the share of cars that Teslas would have had in terms of the market share, and then you're just divvying it up amongst other people while building out the supercharger network, which is great, but not allowing other car manufacturers to do the same. I felt like it would be a forcing function if they kept it walled off, or even just say, hey, a portion of it. Out of 8 stalls at a supercharger network, 2 are dedicated, or not dedicated, or allowed to have the sort of combo CCS sort of adapter or non-Tesla EV allotted stalls, something like that. That's going to still force them to it's going to allow users to be able to use non-Tesla EVs, but also be able to force them to try to create their own network to make it more compelling, right? Because while you're at a Tesla charger, you're probably thinking about, hey, this would probably be a lot better if it was a Tesla. So that's cool. But I see that as a problem. I see that as a problem for Tesla. I see that as a problem for the overall mission. I feel like the mission only happens when you force people's hands, when they have no other choice. And prior to this announcement, everybody was vying for those credits, those dollars to be able to expand stuff like Electrify America and all the other charging networks that are out there, expand them and take advantage of those credits. So that's my problem, right? So congestion being one of them, right? And then the lack of forcing function for others to create a charging infrastructure is another one of them, another one of the problems there. Okay. And it's also going to create some dissent amongst, Tesla versus non-Tesla. There's already craziness happening in the Tesla extreme community. I'll say extreme community. So I could also see a scenario where, someone feels like they have priority because they have a Tesla. Someone is driving a Hyundai Ioniq or Kia EV, and they're going to try to get in a spot, and there's going to be some battle, some confrontation, or they're going to be heckling at the charger, or all kinds of antics going on. Who knows? I would not like to see that. But I feel like, again, this is a good opportunity for Tesla to expand their supercharger network, increase some of their revenue. But again, the cons are just those 2 things. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. What do you think about this? Do you think Tesla should open up their supercharger network to other EVs? How should they do it? Should they allow any stall to be used for any non-EV? Should they dedicate a portion of the stalls? Should they build out additional stalls to what's already there specifically for non-EVs, non-Tesla EVs? Okay, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And until the next time, enjoy your day, enjoy your Tesla.